Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'll call to order the regular meeting of the Board of Directors of the Western Municipal Water District. Tammy, would you please conduct a roll call?
Thank you. Good morning. Director Torres. Director Dinstedt. Director Roten.
Good morning, I'm here.
Good morning. Director Rizvi.
Good morning, I'm here.
Good morning, President Gardner.
I am here.
Thank you. President Gardner, you do have a quorum today.
Okay, thank you. I will just note that Director Torres has called and let the office know that she would like to be here, but is unable to be here today. So just wanted to let people know that. Brings us to Pledge of Allegiance. We will be led today by Chase Sexton. Did you want to do an introduction? Or have someone do an introduction?
No, yeah, Chase can do an introduction. of
I bet he
himself and
can.
What he
Craig-
does
Craig
for
was
us and
ready.
how long he's been here.
Craig was ready to go before I even got up here. Good morning. I know, everybody's ready. Good morning. My name is Chase Sexton. I'm Operations Technician 3 on Mechanical Services team. I've been here approximately 7 years. So,
Glad to have you.
all right. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, guys.
Stay cool out there.
Always.
Okay, brings us to public comments. Tammy, do we have public comment this morning?
President Gardner, we do have one request to speak. I've received no other requests. At this time, I'll call John Farnsworth.
Morning, Mr. Farnsworth.
WMWD Customer Bill of Rights. That didn't come through. WMWD Customer Bill of Rights. Well, it's not coming through.
To Western Municipal Water District, the right to timely and responsive customer service. Western Water is committed to answering your questions, addressing your concerns, and provide you with the support you need. The right to privacy and data security. Western Water takes the privacy and security of customers' personal information seriously.
I've come to the front of this board 3 successive times, asking questions, requests for information, asking for an agenda item to be processed. I have not heard back from anyone whatsoever, except for Ms. Ford, who told me she sent me an email with some information. Don't know what that is. I do not understand why the public cannot receive information per your commitment to do so after many, many requests. My most recent email to Ms. Ford also included a request from a colleague of mine, Mr. Kerr. He has been trying to get information from this committee for months. We had a couple of meetings with Mr. Barr several months ago. Mr. Kerr followed up with questions. Those questions remain unanswered. It just seems appalling to me that you ignore the public request. These have been officially submitted and they've all been ignored. I'll leave it up to your conscience whether or not you feel that you're satisfying your commitment properly and executing your duties appropriately.
Thank you, Mr. Farnsworth.
We have no further comment.
Okay, we'll close public comment and move on to the consent calendar. Would anybody like to pull an item? And if not, is there a motion?
Move approval?
Second.
Okay, motion second. Any discussion? If not, Tammy, would you please conduct a roll call vote?
Director Dinstedt.
Aye.
Director Roten.
Yes.
Director Rizvi.
Aye.
President Gardner.
Aye.
Thank you. The motion carries 4-0.
Great, thank you. Mr. Miller, is there anything to add to the agenda this morning?
There's nothing to add today.
Okay, brings us to our action agenda. We're going to start with some public hearings, and there's a formal way to do this. So our first one is public hearing to consider adopting Resolution 3325, setting the fiscal year 24-25 water and sewer availability charges for the Murrieta service area and placing those charges on the county tax roll. And this is the time and place set for the public hearing regarding the collection of fiscal year 24-25 water and sewer availability charges on the tax roll for property within Western Water's Murrieta service area.
Thank you, President Gardner. Notice of the hearing has been properly given. I have proof of publication, which shows that the notice was published in the Press Enterprise, a newspaper of general circulation in Riverside County on June 12th and June 19th, 2024.
Thank you. The documents are ordered, received, and filed.
Yes. Well, the board is being asked to adopt the water and sewer availability charges listed in Resolution 3325. The charge is equal to $21 per acre, with fractions of an acre rounded up to the nearest whole acre, for both water and sewer, for a combined total of $42 per acre. The amount of the charges has remained unchanged since fiscal year 2002-2003. Water and sewer charges billed monthly to customers, along with these availability charges, are used to provide the necessary revenue to pay for operating and maintaining the water and sewer systems in the Murrieta service area. The collection of availability charges has historically been collected on the property tax roll and assessed on every parcel within the Murrieta service area. Assessing these charges on all parcels promotes cost sharing between existing customers and unconnected property owners, all of whom benefit from the region having water and sewer service available. It also adheres to the standard of cost causation, where Western Water, as the utility service provider, has incurred significant capital investment and ongoing maintenance costs in order to provide service to both existing and future customers. By assessing availability charges as operating revenue, approximately $274,680 of the system operating expenses are paid for that otherwise would need to be offset in higher water and sewer customer rates.
Okay, the hearing is now open. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak on this issue?
President Gardner, we have no request to speak and the district has received no public comment.
Okay, there being no further comments, I declare the public hearing closed. The matter is now before the board for discussion.
So, question. You know, this one always is fun for me. Remind us when the last time it was that the rate had been changed, because I want to make sure that my memory is serving correctly. So,
Sure. We'll look back long ago to
Yes.
fiscal year 2002, 2003.
okay, which actually was not by this board.
No, it's by the Murrieta County Water District, which
Right.
was merged into Western back in
Correct.
2005, I believe.
Right, in November of 2005, yes.
November, that's great.
Yes, this is one of the final acts that we did at the Murrieta County Water District Board while I sat there in order to preserve
Mhm.
these things for Western to not have to take it on and then have to do an immediate hit. So I do appreciate the fact that Western has maintained this since that period of time, and this has been a long-standing charge. As much heartburn as it gives me to have to say that, I do understand the charge. So I'm going to go ahead for the very first time and probably shock staff, and I will make a motion to approve this item. So somebody's going to buy me a cupcake later.
I vote
Okay.
second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion among the board members?
The council's advised against that.
Okay, no discussion. Tammy, if you would please do a roll call vote.
Director Dinstedt,
Aye.
Director Roten,
Yes.
Director Risby,
Aye.
President Gardner.
Aye.
Thank you. The motion carries 4-0.
Thank you. And our next item is to conduct a public hearing or to consider authorizing sewer charges to be collected on the county tax rolls. It's another formal one. This is the time and place set for the public hearing regarding the collection of sewer service charges and any prior year unassessed sewer service charges on the tax rolls for fiscal year 24-25.
The collection of sewer service charges on the tax roll for fiscal year 24-25 applies to all parcels of real property to which Western provides sewer service, but not water service. Notice of the hearing for proposed collection of such charges on the county tax rolls was properly given. I have proof of publication, which shows that the notice was published in the Press Enterprise, a newspaper of general circulation, in Riverside County, on June 12th and June 19th, 2024.
Thank you. The documents are ordered, received, and filed.
Placing sewer charges on the tax roll will allow for the collection of $1,359,933. This dollar amount is derived from 1,942 sewer accounts. The sewer charge is $56.72 per equivalent dwelling unit, or EDU, for the month of July, and $58.37 per EDU per month for the remaining 11 months of the fiscal year. These monthly rates were either previously adopted by the board after conducting a rate hearing in compliance with Proposition 218 in 2021, or the result of passing through higher treatment costs than anticipated from the Western Riverside County Regional Wastewater Authority when rates were originally adopted in 2021. The total fiscal year amount per EDU is $698.79 for applicable customers in the Home Gardens and nearby area. Some of these accounts require additional maintenance on pipelines serving their area per agreement with the original housing developer. Those accounts incur an additional $5 per month charge or $60 per year for lateral cleaning and inspection. It's about 45 homes that are affected there.
Okay, the hearing is now open. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak on the issue?
I have no request to speak, President Gardner, and the district has received no comment.
Thank you. There being no further comments, I declare the public hearing closed. The matter is now before the board for discussion.
I would like a motion, make a motion to approve.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Tammy, if you would do a roll call vote, please.
Aye.
Director Roten,
Yes.
Director Rizvi.
Aye.
President Gardner.
Aye.
Thank you. The motion carries 4-0.
Thank you. And our next item is to consider adopting Resolution 3321 and 3322, approving the fiscal year 24-25 budgets and levy of special taxes for community facilities district number 88-1 and community facilities district number 99-1.
And before we start, I'm going to do my usual and annual disclosure. Legal counsel, I do reside in this area. I am taxed. My home resides in 99-1. I'd like for the record for you to state my ability to be able to make any type of discussion or motion or be able to vote on this item.
Thank you, Director Denstedt. So stated, there are exceptions in the Political Reform Act for officials in your position. We call it the public generally exception. And so your vote on this will affect the public generally, and your property or your interest is not will not be affected differently than anyone else's. So you are fine to participate, and thank you for checking.
Thank you very much.
All right, with that, Spencer's going
Spencer,
to
you're
give us the
on.
background. Spencer, go ahead.
Thank you very much, Craig. And good morning, members of the board. Staff requests the board adopt resolutions 3321 and 3322, which approve the fiscal year 2024-2025 budgets and approve the levy of the special taxes on the county tax rolls to collect the revenue required for those budgets for each of the two Murrieta Community Facilities Districts, or CFDs. Because CFDs 88-1 and 99-1 are separate legal entities from Western Water, they then require their own adopted budget. The special taxes allow the collection of revenue required to pay the debt service that is due in the coming year on the outstanding bonds for the CFDs, as well as pay for related administrative expenses. For CFD 88-1, the total budget and levy amount is $132,623. For CFD 99-1, the total budget and levy amount is $153,195. The proposed levies for both CFDs are virtually unchanged from the approved levy amounts in the prior year. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Spencer. We're happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from board members?
I'm just going to go through a couple of items.
Okay.
And this is for our CFO. I look forward to the maturity date on this. It's hopefully rapidly approaching.
Each year brings us 1 year closer.
And correct me if I am wrong, that we have had 2 refinancings of this, resulting each time in a reduction in interest rate and a savings to the customers who end up paying of that, one of which is me and my neighbors. And that there is no escalator in this, and it is going to come to maturity here in about 6 years.
Well, 2030 would be 6 years. Yes, that's correct. Right, no escalator. We work very hard to keep the levy as level as possible. There's different maturity dollar amounts with the bonds. They mature in a series, but we work to keep that as level as possible. And yes, there were 2 refinancings resulting in substantial savings and interest costs for the property owners.
Yes. And this keeps our rates for water service down as well.
I wouldn't say that. The monies used from these bond proceeds were to construct infrastructure that benefited the parcels. So perhaps that would have affected connection or capacity charges at that time. But as far as our water and sewer rates, no impact.
Okay. Glad to have that on the record. And so with that, I am also going to go ahead and put staff into heart attack mode and make a motion to adopt the resolution. Council, would you like these as a separate adoption and vote, or can they be voted and adopted together?
They can be voted and adopted together. Thank you.
That would be my motion, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you very much. We have a motion. Is there a
I
second?
will second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Tammy, if you would do a roll call vote, please.
Director Dinstedt,
Aye.
Director Roten,
Yes.
Director Risby,
Aye.
President Gardner.
Aye.
Thank you. The motion carries 4-0.
Okay, thank you very much. Our next item is to authorize transfer of unclaimed monies to the Western Municipal Water District General Fund.
All right. Amanda's here again to talk about this. Let me preempt any possible questions. It was brought to our attention by Director Gardner at committee and asked if we look into a couple of the parties that were on the list, because we feel like they're still in existence, but they are not responding to our efforts to get them money. So we've taken them off the list and we'll continue to pursue that. Unfortunately, we had a little typo when the board packet got mailed out. Is the total that was in the title, I think, of the letter didn't get modified to subtract those out, but Tammy has since reposted the letter with the correct amount. So what you're approving today is correct, even though the board packet that you may have seen on Friday had an improper amount on there, but it's fixed. So I think we're
Great.
fine.
Thank
All
you very much.
With that, Amanda?
Good morning, Board of Directors. We are presenting the annual request to transfer unclaimed money from the calendar year 2020 to the general fund. This money will be available for general use. This action is proposed when the monies have remained unclaimed on Western Water's books for a period of 3 years or more. As part of our due diligence, a notice to the public with the names and dollar amounts was placed in the press enterprise on April 22nd and April 29th, 2024. Claimants had 45 days from the first publication to file a verifiable claim. When a check is returned as undeliverable or remains uncashed, research is performed to determine if the payee is a current customer of Western Water at a new address or known by our Development Services Department. The Customer Service Department calls, emails, sends letters, and searches the billing software database for updated customer information. The Development Services Department reviews the contact information from the original paperwork and the copy of the check deposit. The research continues by checking with the developer's contractor and searching the internet to obtain updated phone or address information. A final staff review takes place before publishing the notice in a newspaper. Subsequent to this item being brought to the June 17th, 2024 Finance Committee, staff performed additional research on two of the companies from the unclaimed money listing, Kiewit, with an unclaimed amount of $484.51, and TBU Inc. with an unclaimed amount of $175. New addresses were found and checks reissued to these companies, resulting in their removal from the listing. This reduced the unclaimed money listing from $6,292.20 to $5,632.69, which is the amount being requested to be transferred to the general fund. It is important to keep in mind that even after the board authorizes the transfer of unclaimed monies to the general fund, all monies will remain available to be claimed and paid in the future to the individuals and businesses to whom the monies belong. This concludes my presentation. We would be happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me ask first if we have any public comment on the item.
We do not.
Okay, any questions from board members? I would like to just thank you for taking a look at those two. And I hope those checks go through for them. We really do make an effort to return money to people that we owe it to. But occasionally there are some you just can't. I know there is one name of a person who's deceased on the list. So with that,
Is that your motion, Mr. President?
Sure, I will move approve.
I'd be happy to second that for you.
Okay,
All right.
Tammy, a roll call vote, please.
Director Dinstedt,
Aye.
Director Roten,
Yes.
Director Rizvi,
Aye.
President Gardner.
Aye.
Thank you. The motion carries 4-0.
Thank you. Brings us to reports, Mr. General Counsel.
Thank you, Mr. President. Nothing to report. Good to see you all. And
And you.
have a happy Fourth.
Mr. General Manager.
All right, I have a few things. Let's start with SB 366. You saw last week, we sent several emails. We had a great week last week. The bill was up in front of the Assembly Parks and Wildlife Committee on Tuesday, June 25th in Sacramento. I was fortunate to be selected to testify in front of the committee. Senator Caballero did the introduction of the bill, did a great job, and actually in her introduction did a really good job kind of defending the bill to the opposition that we were aware of and that was there to make comments. And so she kind of answered their objections in her opening comments, which she did really well. Danielle Blassett Hayden from CMUA then testified, and then I was able to do a brief testimony. We also had two members from the environmental community that spoke in opposition. What was really rewarding for me is, as I was facing the committee testifying, I wasn't aware of the crowd that was building in the room behind me, but the Assembly Member Pappen, who's the chair, after she made very, very good comments. There were 3 comments from the committee, if you weren't listening to the meeting, that really understood the bill and were very, very supportive of the bill. And that is all due to the very significant outreach that we've been doing to all the Assembly members on the bill. And hats off to KP and their efforts behind the scenes to make sure people understood that bill and voted in our favor. So when I turned around, I saw the room full of friends, and there were, I don't know, more than 25, 30 agencies that had speakers there to do what we call Me Too's. So they list their name, their organization, and that they supported the bill. There were only two that spoke in, well, 2.5 spoke in opposition. One was opposed to the bill, but asked for the amendments because they really do want to support the bill, but they want to see the amendments. So really rewarding to see the water community and the agricultural community step up to the microphone and really were very enthusiastic about their support, which was great. And the cities were there, the chamber was there, the Cal Chambers, uh, the Golf Association was there, the ones that really swing, pun intended, swing support. But it was really, really rewarding. So passed unanimously 13-0. The next stop is appropriations. We don't know the date. It'll be in August. They're in recess now. So it will be in August. So our work will continue to get over that hurdle. Let's see, Met. Last week was a busy week for me. So there were, in addition to being in Sacramento to testify, there were three days of Met meetings that lasted more than 4 hours for me. So on my journey up to Sacramento, I spent actually 5 hours at Met. On my way home, I spent 5 more hours at Met. And on Friday, there was another 3-hour member agency managers meeting that I had to squeeze in between our Riverside Task Force, which was a very successful task force meeting on Friday morning. If you were, I wasn't paying attention to the list of listeners or watchers. I was busy listening to the presenters. So very busy day at Met. You're all aware of what's happening at Met. You've been following Devin Upadhyay being the interim general manager. Devin followed through with a Met manager meeting that was on the calendar where he meets with just the GMs from the member agencies. So that was really a really great meeting with Devin to hear, what his priorities are during this interim period and soliciting input, suggestions, creative ideas from the member agency general managers. And it was supposed to be a 3-hour meeting that was quickly turned into a 5-hour meeting, if you can do that quickly. So we're very, very encouraged by his priorities and what he wants to do. And we actually saw signs of that on Wednesday when we had the next Camp for Water Task Force, where we talked about the camp program and the business model. Those have been rolled into one meeting, which Craig's opinion only, that meeting was overwhelmed with just the Camp for Water decision-making. To roll in the business model discussion to that, as I've shared with Met leadership, is not, I don't think that's a forum for success to have all of that weighty stuff in front of this task force. We might be there for the next decade trying to figure this out with the task force. So Devin responded based on the conversations on Monday and is proposing that the general managers will maybe form a subgroup and work their way through the business model recommendations and then bring those recommendations back to the task force. So right now that's the plan. I see a lot more hope in getting it done that way. So that was my activity at Metropolitan. Of course, we probably have 5 or 6 staff members watching the business model and camp, because this is a huge issue. This is going to determine, Met's path forward. So we're just not casual observers. But the other meeting that went on is the treated water surcharge meeting, which was last Monday afternoon. So Kevin has been following this and working with all the CFOs from our region to really work through what I would call an inequity in the treated water costs that we pay over what other Met member agencies pay for untreated water. There's a lot of additional costs that are shouldered by those that buy treated water. So the meeting is going well. Katana, the CFO, is leading the meeting now, which is great. It's really focused more on information and background and talking about how we got where we are. Because several years ago in 2017, there was an effort to modify the treated water surcharge that didn't pan out. So they're talking a lot about what was done in 2017 and why and how we got to where we are. And I hope the next steps are to start trying to develop some solutions. So this isn't going to go fast. there was talk that hopefully this could be done by the implementation of Met's rates January 1. I don't think that'll happen. This is too weighty of an issue. If we could get it implemented by 2026, that would probably be really good progress. So a full year from this January. Kevin and will be working on that. Maybe not all the way till 26, but so that's a big issue. So super busy at Met. Yesterday we had a meeting. Director Denstedt was there for a meeting with our caucus. We had a rundown of Met's meeting and committee agenda for next week, but we had a very weighty conversation with the caucus about the business model and the philosophy of the business model and what our caucus wants to see as the priorities that the general managers push behind the scenes on the business model. So I want to thank Director Denstedt and the other Met member agency reps to Metropolitan who were there, and very active discussion. It was a very frank discussion, and there was very good alignment from the Met member agencies. And there are, it's I don't want to overshare, but there are, the Met business model is a very weighty, policy-driven issue. The conversation is coming up about governance and board representation at Met, which is an even higher level policy issue. And so there's just a lot of things that are in the hopper right now for discussions that are very controversial at Met, because with 26 member agencies, there are not 26 unified perspectives on any of these things. So a lot of work ahead of us this year at Metropolitan. Let me share these are always fun things. We don't share them a lot with the board, but a customer approached us out of there in Marietta talking about our water quality program. As I've told you before, Chris Fike and his team is doing a great job out in the Marietta service area. When we inherited that system, there was a lot of legacy challenges with the wells and sediments and things that were discharged into the lines that we've been working to rectify. They don't cause any water quality problems. It can be an aesthetic issue if it gets stirred up. So we don't like that. Mr. Fike and his team doesn't like that. We've been working really hard to figure out how to do that. It turns out it's really hard to remove sediment from miles and miles and miles and miles of small diameter pipes. So we're doing that. But the good news is, as we're out there doing the work, our communications team is very active in ensuring that the customers know what's going on. So if they do see a little puff of cloudy water coming in, they know that we're in the street in front of them, and it's because of us doing that work, and it's perfectly safe. We had a customer come back and thank us for the outreach and tell us how well we're doing the outreach, and they fully get what we're doing and they appreciate it. So that was great. We'd love to hear that. One more I'll share is, we often have challenges with development services and meeting the needs of our developers. So we actually had a developer come in and thank our development services. Pulte Homes came in and thanked our development services group for being creative and figuring out a way to work with them to streamline the meter installation and inspection process. So they've installed 97 of 272 meters. It's growing daily. They obviously want to get meters installed so they can get people in those houses. So we've been working very closely with them to figure out exactly where they've met their development conditions, and we can install those meters and not have to wait till the whole project is completed. So appreciate Pulte Homes reaching out to the development team, and I really appreciate our development team thinking outside the box and figuring out how to work with the private sector to not be bureaucratic and get things done. And we're proud of that, and we want to keep walking that talk all the time. So Derek, thank you. That's it.
Hey.
No questions.
Just really very simple question, I think. the caucus at Met, how many is that the Inland Empire Caucus?
Yeah, so there's numerous caucuses. Legal counsel, tell me what the word really is.
Caucus.
Caucus eye? Cockeye? That doesn't sound right.
I don't actually feel comfortable saying it out loud. It seems weird.
There are numerous. Ours is it used to be the Inland Empire Caucus, and now it is the Orange County Inland Empire Caucus. So it's MODOC, the three cities, Santa Ana, Anaheim, and Fullerton, IUA, Western, and Eastern. Foothill has Three Valleys has kind of had a leg in a couple different caucuses, and now they're attending a different caucus. But in the past, they've participated in our caucus, and then because of perceived, a potential perceived Brown Act issue, Met's legal counsel has said, stick to one caucus, don't go to both. And so they're sticking with the Northern Caucus, which is fine. We work very closely with their general manager and with their board rep, so it's fine with us. But our caucus is very strong.
Thank you.
Good.
Question.
Mhm.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
So for the water quality down in Marietta, are we still doing the clearing of the pipes through the hydrants? Are we still engaging in that, or are we holding off because we're doing other things?
We are still doing that.
Okay.
We have, it's been broken up into 12 zones, and
Okay.
we started in zone number 1. We've gone through, we're about through all 12 zones, and we will repeat that.
Okay.
It is a groundwater system, and groundwater requires that we do some hydraulic flushing, and we are going to continue to do that.
Okay. Smoochie would like to know when you're going to be in our neighborhood.
Smooch, you might get a postcard.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Craig, I just want to congratulate you for your leadership on SB 366. It truly would not have happened without Craig. And thank you to the board for supporting Craig in that effort. Because if a majority of us, in fact, it was unanimous, but if a majority didn't say, go do this, Craig wouldn't have gone and done it, and it wouldn't have happened. So thank you and congratulations.
Thank you. Well, and
Um,
I would also thank staff,
yes,
because
there are a number of
I was
staff who have done-
gone almost the entire week last week, and business is flowing very smoothly here with staff. So
And there are a number of staff who were directly involved in supporting you and getting where we got.
shockingly enormous amount of time, and a little bit frustrating at times, but rewarding at times, because we do have huge personal involvement in crafting everything that's going on. And Sarah's been doing a fabulous job working with CMUA and with KP to do that. And where's Michael Hadley is probably, there he is, he's hiding behind the computer. Michael has been doing a great job up in Sacramento, and just a little bit more, because you let me open my mouth again. This year as compared to last, the water lobby has really been inspired to get active. And that is because our lobbyists, well, Sarah stimulating the lobby community, and then KP and Ed Manning making this a very personal issue, that he's going to make sure that we get this thing passed. And so he's taken upon himself to go out and talk to every other water lobbyist, and I shouldn't say that, ag, cities, counties, chambers, to get them all. That's why the Me Too's show up, is because Ed and his team are doing that work.
Great. Okay, thank you. Brings us into directors' reports and requests. SAPA is up first. SAPA met yesterday. Their one real action was to authorize a budget for redoing the front of the building. Their office is organized so that if you walk through the front doors, there's nothing that keeps you from walking through the entire building. And so they're making modifications to secure that. There will be a glassed-in area where staff will sit. And they also are that triggers an ADA upgrade to the restrooms and to the approach area to the building. So those things will be happening. It was approved unanimously on the condition that Director Denstedt approves the colors and materials.
Okay. Got it.
For anybody who doesn't know, Director Denstedt was instrumental in picking the colors and materials that are in the remainder of the building, and it really does look good. So that was what SOMPA did. Received some reports in addition, but Metropolitan.
So Metropolitan, Craig gave a pretty detailed report on some activities from last week for sure. Unfortunately, with what's going on at Metropolitan right now, the board is having to deal with some other issues. And we've had a tremendous amount of public comment that has come in that we're having to deal with and listen to. And it's really unfortunate that the turn of events have taken us down this path. It is going to take some time to work through. And I will update you as I can, but obviously these are internal personnel matters that are confidential. And so I will do my best to give updates on what I can give updates on. So other than that, we have committee meetings and board meeting next Monday and Tuesday. So I will be in attendance at those, and I will give you an update at the next meeting over what transpires with that.
Great, thank you. Chino Basin Water Master met last week. They did two significant things. One was they have an ongoing contract with West Yost for engineering services that was expiring end of last month, and there was a new 5-year contract approved with West Yost. And they approved a fiscal year 24-25 pay schedule, which incorporates some cost of living allocations and a pot for merit increases. And there was a Water Master tour of Water Master facilities, which was pretty interesting. I had not seen many of these, so we saw all kinds of things. Yeah, it really is. We saw infiltration basins. We saw a desalter, which the Chino 2 desalter has some things in it that we do not at the Arlington desalter. There's a solids concentrate facility there. And they concentrate some of the solids, and they are actually transported off-site, and that saves them from, it gives them more brine line capacity as a result, and that's important to the operation. But it was a really good trip, and I enjoyed it and learned quite a bit. And then last thing on Water Master is they met just 2 days after the committee approved SB 366, and I announced that several of the members were unaware, and everybody is pleased. And that's it for Water Master. CDA is going to meet next week on the 11th. They were scheduled to meet tomorrow, but there's some other event going on. So they will be meeting next week. I'm going to cover for Laura, who has a better offer. Rick.
We'll meet next month.
Okay, WRCOG.
WRCOG. So we had General Assembly just the other week. Hugely successful event. We had the largest attendance ever at General Assembly, and we raised the most money for the foundation we ever have. And I'll tell you what, I was a little skeptical with the speaker that was chosen. It was the head coach for the LA Rams, Sean McVay. he was a phenomenal speaker. He really knocked it out of the park. I had the opportunity to sit next to him for dinner. He engaged in conversation. He is just genuinely a very kind, thoughtful person. And he was gracious with everyone who came up and asked him for an autograph. He was gracious to take pictures with everybody. And he was gracious to even do videos to encourage grandkids, son-in-laws, everything else that wanted to try out for the NFL. So I just want to say, he definitely hit it out of the park for us. And I know baseball term with a football guy. He scored a touchdown. There we go. Okay. All right. No, back that up. Back it up. Back it up, Brenda. She's a football girl. So he really did. And he was just genuinely a wonderful, wonderful speaker. We've had a number of people ask for if the video is going to be made public so they can rewatch all of his inspirational words. He really did a phenomenal job as a leader and as being one of the youngest NFL coaches ever brought in. So it was a phenomenal program. I'm not entirely sure how we're going to top it for next year, given the fact of his popularity and how we really did this General Assembly.
There's a guy named Craig Miller who's a pretty good speaker. You might talk to him.
Yeah. Yeah, no, right. No, we have had the challenges thrown out. The state controller was there, who obviously is from the Bay Area. She threw out a couple of things. He bounced off of it. It was great. She came to our executive committee meeting the next morning and said she had missed some of the comments because she stepped out to take care of family members and do a couple of things. So, but she threw the challenge back out there. So we'll see what comes out of it. It was kind of entertaining. Really enjoyed it. It's nice to have some lightness and some fun, genuine just fun at General Assembly. The turnout for the votes, the chair is now Rita Rogers from the city of Paris is now our chair. I've been voted in as the vice chair, and Jackie Casillas from the city of Corona is now the second vice chair. So for the first time in WRCOG's history, we have an all-female leadership team. So that is a significant milestone given the fact of the makeup of that board, and it's predominantly have been men for many years. So I look forward to stepping into that role and figuring out who our next speaker is. So I'm open to suggestions. We already have our date for General Assembly has been reserved because Pechanga has become a very popular venue, especially for large conferences and events. Everybody is using them. So we had to pick a date earlier than we normally would have. Usually it's the fourth Thursday of the month that we try to reserve every single year. We weren't able to get that date. It had already been blocked out. And so the General Assembly for next year, mark your calendars for June the 12th. So that will be the date that we're moving forward. So if you have speaker suggestions and think you can top Sean McVeigh from this year, certainly float that to me, and I'm happy to bring that up with the committee as we look forward to making reservations, because we do that rather early to make sure that we're on calendar, especially for very popular people, so we can get them on calendar and get them booked in time. Other than that, we did some General Assembly. We did the after action to see if there were any hiccups, any problems, any concerns, any things or changes. So if you have suggestions, and we're in attendance of that, if you like something, great, let me know. If you didn't like something, call Rita. Okay, so we'll share it that way. So otherwise, it was a wonderful time, and I thank staff. We had a tremendous praise for our centerpieces that we contributed along with Eastern, and those all got taken and swamped out of the room, and everybody carried them away. So people were very, very pleased, and that they were just really nice to look at. So kudos to staff and the design team for coming up with those centerpieces. You guys hit it out of the park again, and not a single one was left in the room. So thank you for that. And we'll probably get hit up again next year. So I'm just giving you a little forewarning on that. And I look forward to what WRCOG brings for the coming year.
Great.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Saurabh.
Next month.
Aqua Region 9.
Oh, geez. Okay, here we go. So program is scheduled for August the 13th. We've had to change the venue. The Mount San Jacinto campus was a little pricey on what they wanted to do for that program. So we have now moved that program, unfortunately, to Wilson Creek. I know that's going to break everybody's heart that we're at Wilson Creek for that program. So Bill Wilson has graciously offered to make his facility and site available to us for that program. So we look forward to spending the day out there at Wilson Creek and hope that all of you can join us for the Region 9 program that's going to talk about workforce development, talk about the challenges that we face. We've got some phenomenal speakers, including, I don't know if he's a speaker or a moderator on our group, but Patrick Ellis, who is part of the Marietta Wildemar Chamber, is part of the Riverside County Workforce Development, is part of, I mean, we could go on and on about Patrick's qualifications and all of his tags that he's got behind his name. So we look forward to talking amongst our colleagues about workforce development, what our challenges are, what's working, what doesn't work, and having those conversations. So I welcome you to all join us on that day. Talk to Tammy, get registered for that program. I will be in attendance fully on that day, and I will keep you posted. And then obviously we've got fall conference coming up after that. So should you have any questions, I'll keep you apprised of that. We should have hotel reservations, then blocks should be opening up either now or soon for fall
Soon. We
conference.
haven't received it yet.
Okay, for fall conference. So I would suggest that if you want to go to do that, it is down in the desert and it is a very popular venue. So if you might want to check your calendars for those dates and make sure that staff knows so that we can get the appropriate blocks room, because those usually get snatched up and go very, very quickly. So other than that, that is all I have for Region 9 Aqua.
Okay, thank you. Directors' comments and reports. Director Roden.
Whoops. Just a few. I had written SB 366. It's been so inspiring, engaging to follow this through and follow the hard work and dedication that has happened with our agency, our staff, our general manager, everyone from top to bottom. And it brings back some challenging but somewhat fond memories for me back with Harupa Valley and trying to get our legislation through for our restoration of funds, which by the way took 6 years. So this one's going really well. Yeah. Well, it was not the legislature's fault. It was the governor wouldn't sign it until a particular time, which he joked about when he came to sign the bill. He said, I know a lot of you are wondering why it's taken me so long to sign this bill, and I'm not going to tell you. He just thought that was hilarious. But anyway, yeah, and seeing Craig testify, I was able to watch, the hearing, and I was able to share that those hearings can be viewed by the public with a couple different groups that I'm affiliated with. And I don't think that most people know that they can get that involved in following a particular bill or bills that, they're interested in. So I felt like it was a teaching moment, for people that I came in contact with to be able to share the link and, let them know that this is available. And it's not just for this bill, it's for other things that you want to follow through. And I think folks are encouraged when they hear of the efforts that have gone into this. I'll tell you, this has been like a 2-year effort, and that there's I'm very optimistic that this will pass and be signed. And I think it encourages people. It's like, wow, we can make a difference. Our voices can be heard. So anyway, sorry, a little side preaching there about involvement, but it was great. And Craig, you did do a wonderful job, and so did Senator Caballero. I was very impressed, and then to see all those folks get up in support, of it, it was just awesome. I don't know that it could have gone any better, actually. So, I also attended the Chino Basin Water Master Tour with Mike, and those kinds of tours, when you can go out and actually see things that have been spoken about or presented even with photos, we've got good photos, we've got drones and things like that, but to actually stand there and see it, it just really gives you a new and more in-depth perspective. So I can only imagine the organization that went in behind the scenes to put that on, because not only did we have the oversized, 12 or whatever passenger van that we were in, we had another vehicle that was going ahead of us and opening gates and making sure that we could get where we needed to go and all of those things. So it was coordinated really well. And then too, it's just nice to spend that much time with folks and get to know them all a little bit better and that kind of thing. So that was a very worthwhile tour. I attended as well as Director Rizvi, the Norco Area Chamber. In fact, I have I'll give this to Tammy before I go home, but the nice sponsorship plaque that they presented. And it was at an event venue called The Farm I know who'd have thought in Norco that they'd call it The Farm, but I had never been there, and it's kind of hidden. Well, it's very hidden actually, but you drive in this short unpaved road and all of a sudden it opens up to this amazing home that looks like something you might see. It just reminded me of something from a movie of the South, and just gorgeous. And then on the grounds, they have this beautiful barn where you can have gatherings. And they had very generously, the farm had very generously donated the venue to the chamber for its use, which was really nice. And they were very appreciative of that, because I guess if you rent it, privately, it's expensive. So it was a really nice evening. And then well, I think I did stop by the Eastvale Picnic in the Park, which ran 3 days last weekend. I had never attended that. It's been going on for many years. And JCSD provides the parks for Eastvale, and they put this event on. And so I was able to visit with them a bit and, just catch up with people. It was hugely well attended, and I had always heard that. And I think that's kind of why I'd shied away, because the crowds can be a bit overwhelming. But they do fireworks on Saturday night. We did not stay for the fireworks, but we wandered around and, like I say, visited the different booths, and they have a whole carnival fun zone that was reminiscent to me of the LA County Fair. I mean, it was big. It wasn't probably that big, but it was really nice. They put on a very good event, and the community loves it, from what you can tell, and all ages, families, and you could tell people had gotten there early and staked out their area. But just really briefly before I close, as my husband and I were walking across, we saw these 3 young ladies coming toward us. I don't know. I'm going to guess, I'm so bad at guessing ages. I'm going to say late teen, early 20s. And one was wearing a solid color red shirt. One was wearing a solid white, and one was wearing a solid blue. And there was a lot of 4th of July, red, white, and blue attire. But it was so obvious coming toward us what the statement was they were trying to make. And so we stopped them and said, "Oh my gosh, you look so wonderful." And my husband said, "Has anyone else noticed?" And the one young lady says, "My parents." And I thought, "Oh, you have good parents." So that was really cool. It was like a subtle but meaningful statement that they were making. And it always encourages me when I see young people that are patriotic or just standing for things that are good. And they weren't afraid to make that statement, and just, it was just a nice touch. So other than that, happy 4th of July, Independence Day tomorrow. I hope your day is safe and fun. And I know it's usually similar to a war zone where I live as far as fireworks, but I think that's everywhere. So I just hope, like I say, everyone is safe and remembers the importance of what July 4th means to all of us. And God bless America.
Director Dennstead.
Thank you. Just a couple of comments. I attended the Mega Chamber event and actually got stopped by several people asking about water stuff. So perhaps at the next Mega Chamber event, I believe is going to be in January, we could maybe send a booth or something down there, because there were a lot of people asking lots of questions, which I was happy to answer, but obviously there's an interest down there. And so it's a hugely attended event, and the next one should be in January. I also went to the Marietta's birthday bash. So that was a hugely successful event. There were a lot of booths there, a lot of people. It is one of the largest turnouts I've ever seen. There was standing room only when it came to fireworks time, for sure. So wonderful to go to the place that I live and see such a huge community turnout. And of course, the big show of the day is always the fire department fills up their trucks and does the crowd hose down, and all the kids run out there. So just, we got it. Sometimes you just got to play in the water. Okay. Sometimes you just got to play and enjoy the water for what it is. And so, happy birthday to Marietta. Congratulations to them on such a hugely successful event. And I wish everybody a happy 4th, a happy, safe 4th. Don't make us use water for any purpose that it's not truly intended for. Putting fires out would be one of those. Let's try to avoid that if at all possible. So, and that is all I have today.
Okay, Director Rizvi.
Just a few comments. I attended the WRCOG assembly, and I think the speaker was amazing. It was very inspirational. I had no idea. I'm like, people were like, my kids were super excited to hear I was going. So I took pictures. I went early and I took pictures, and I've been making them, I'm showing them up. But the speaker was very inspirational. As leadership, as what he's done, it was very inspiring to hear. So thank you. It was great. Good, good luck for next year, because it's going to be really hard for you guys. And congratulations to you, Rita and Jackie, for, being the, leading the way for, for all of us. So that I did attend the Norco Chambers event, and that place was very surprisingly beautiful. I'm like, first of all, you can't find the place, but it's hard. But when you go there, it is just beautiful, amazing, and they did a great job. So that's about it. Happy 4th of July. I will be participating in the Corona, City of Corona parade tomorrow. So I'm super excited to see community, everyone. We do have, afterwards, we have a picnic in the park. I will be attending. Last week I did attend. I saw the fireworks at the Eastville one. I love watching there. So I went with my family and we saw that. So it was a great picnic in the park. They're, every year they're just kind of, they started so small. Now there were so many booths, there were so many vendors and all that. So it was great. So we look forward to doing that. And now I'm looking forward what Corona is going to do. So I'm super excited for that. So happy 4th of July, everyone, and be safe.
I'll chime in on the happy 4th of July. I'm going to stay home and watch Mount Rubidoux burn. It's not 4th of July until Mount Rubidoux catches fire. There is tonight a free concert by the Riverside Philharmonic at the National Cemetery. It's really good. If you want to go, bring a lawn chair or something, because the limited seating will be gone. But they are really good, and there's a fireworks show there too. Yes. It's gonna be really hot, so I'm really glad that we serve water, not electricity, because we're not gonna run out and pay May. And then last thing, Tom Hunt passed away. Tom was a longtime member of the Riverside Unified School District, a active community member in Riverside and surrounding cities. He ran a little business that assisted people with small project permitting at the state, at the city and county level. And he passed away a day short of his 69th birthday. He'd been battling cancer for a while. So I will adjourn the meeting in Tom's memory when we get there. Anybody have requests for future agenda items? Okay, our next meeting is July the 17th at 9:30 right here. And with that, we will adjourn in memory of our USD board member, Tom Hunt. Thank you very much.